When they came to the crowd, a man came to him, knelt before him, and said, "Lord, have mercy on my son, for he has epilepsy and suffers terribly. He often falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him here to your disciples, but they could not cure him." Jesus answered, "You faithless and perverse generation, how much longer must I be with you? How much longer must I put up with you? Bring him here to me." And Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the boy was cured from that moment. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, "Why could we not cast it out?" He said to them, "Because of your little faith. For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you."
When you read these words, it's hard to believe that they follow one of the most incredible moments in all of Jesus' ministry. We leap from the transfiguration, Jesus shining in all his glory, to a scene of demonic oppression and human weakness. It's quite a contrast. And not for the first time in Matthew's Gospel, it's possible to see the parallels between Jesus and Moses. Yes, the Moses that Jesus was with on the mountain just a few moments ago. Remember Moses meeting with God up on Mount Sinai, being given the 10 Commandments, and then coming down to find the Israelite people replacing the one true God with a golden calf. This kind of journey is definitely more than just coincidence. And it's in this context that Jesus follows a demonstration of his glory, the transfiguration, with a demonstration of his power, the healing of a young man or boy possessed with a demon. Now, if you were to read Mark's version of these same events, you'd find them twice as long and a lot more graphic. In Mark chapter 9, everything's a lot more chaotic. The boy is foaming at the mouth, grinding his teeth, and the emphasis is all on the healing. But for Matthew, this whole encounter is about faith. We join the story as the man's father comes to Jesus, asking him to heal his son, to have mercy on him. What we discover very quickly is that the man has already gone to the disciples, but they were unable to heal him. It's as though he's tried with the everyday stuff, but now he's gone to the boss. And Jesus' response is, well, pretty un-Jesus-like, to be honest. "You faithless and perverse generation, how much longer must I put up with you? How much longer must I be with you?" There's a frustration here, right? We get a sense of Jesus' humanity. Now, to be clear, it's not an outburst at the boy's father, but his despair at the fact that such healing is on offer to this boy through the disciples, and yet we can only assume they've messed up, not been as close to the power source as they needed to be. And in this, they're indicative of a generation who are religious, who say they follow God, but are constantly hampered by trying to do things not God's way, but their way. As we follow this journey to Jerusalem, the language Jesus uses here is language we'll have to get used to. It culminates in chapter 23 when Jesus says to the religious leaders, "You can't squirm out of this. Every drop of righteous blood ever spilled on this earth, beginning with the blood of that good man Abel, right down to the blood of Zechariah, Barachiah's son, whom you murdered at his prayers, is on your head. And all this, I'm telling you, is coming down on you, on your generation." Church, Jerusalem is coming, and just as the crowds and religious leaders had to get used to hearing Jesus' words become stronger in these next chapters, so should we. But back to these events. And to summarise, there's a picture painted by Matthew here of the difference between the community that Jesus wants his followers to be and the one that they so easily slip back into. Even the faith they need, and surely at times have displayed, They need to remember that it's never going to come from them, but only ever through Jesus. It's his presence and power that was the difference then, and it's his presence and power that is still the difference today. That's why Matthew paints such a contrast between Jesus who heals with a word and the disciples who fail despite all their efforts. The good news, though, is that the disciples are actually inquisitive. They want to know why they couldn't heal the boy. And so they come to Jesus privately, just as we might in prayer. They've clearly experienced what it's like to heal in the power of Jesus, and so they question why, if they've had the authority previously, it's not resulted in a healing here. And so out comes Jesus' nickname for them again. You little faithers. This is notable, not because there's never been a lack of faith when it comes to healings before, but because on those occasions, the lack of faith has been with the one being healed, not with the healers themselves. And then, still focused on faith, Jesus finishes with one of the most powerful statements in all his ministry. For truly I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. So often our mistake is that we think it's about us, about our faith. But these are words that tell us about the power of God. There's nothing automatic about such power. It's not formulaic and it can't be taken for granted, but neither can we put it in a human-shaped box. Neither can we control it. It's all too easy to fit God into our ideas of what's possible. But when Christ is with us, when God is with us, nothing is impossible. Faith that can move mountains is not something we just muster up. It's about a relationship with the one who has the power to move those mountains. Way back in chapter 13, Jesus likened the kingdom to a mustard seed. As he speaks about the same thing here, but in relation to personal faith, he reminds us that the size of our faith isn't important. It's the God we believe in that matters.